Okay, it says in this problem that a store mixes Brazilian coffee worth $11 per kilogram and Venezuelan coffee worth $14 per kilogram. The mixture is to sell for $13 per kilogram. Find how much of each should be used to make a 564 kilogram mixture. Now, it sounds like a pretty tough problem, but with most word problems, if you can first figure out and identify what it is we're being asked to find and label it, that usually gets us on a good start. And it says how much of each should be used. So we want to know how much Brazilian coffee and how much Venezuelan coffee. And so let's label those. Let's let X equal to the amount in kilograms now of Brazilian coffee, and let Y equal to the number of kilograms, the amount of Venezuelan coffee. So we got those two unknowns. And since we have two unknowns, we're going to need two equations. We're going to need a system of equations to solve them. Now, one of the equations is fairly easy to come up with. We know that the total amount of the mixture is 564 kilograms. So if we take the kilograms of the Brazilian coffee plus the kilograms of the Venezuelan coffee, X plus Y, that should equal 564. So that's one of the equations. The other one's a little more difficult. We need to think about how we can put this together. We're saying that the cost of the Brazilian coffee plus the cost of the Venezuelan coffee, those two added together should give us the cost of the mixture, since we're mixing these two coffees together. And how do you find out how much each of these costs? Well, the cost of the Brazilian coffee, the cost of anything like this, would you take the price per kilogram times the number of kilograms. You do that for the Brazilian coffee, and we know that the price per kilogram of the Brazilian coffee, sorry, move back up here, the price per kilogram of the Brazilian coffee is $11. So the price is $11. The number of kilograms, well, we said that was X. So we've got here 11 times X. And then it says here the price per kilogram of the Venezuelan coffee, and that was $14 per kilogram times the number of kilograms, and we said that was Y. That's going to equal to the price of the mixture, or the cost of the mixture. Well, we said we wanted the mixture to be $13 a pound, so price per kilogram, got to get into the metric system, times the number of kilograms. Well, it says here that they want to make a 564 kilogram mixture, so it's 13 times 564 would give us the total cost of the mixture. So that's going to be the second equation. So we have the first equation we said was X plus Y is equal to 564. Remember, that's just the number of kilograms of Brazilian coffee plus the number of kilograms of the Venezuelan coffee is the number of kilograms in the mixture. And the second equation comes from what we have right here, 11x plus 14y is equal to, well, 13 times 564. Well, 13 times 564 gives us 7332. All right? So here's our system of equations. Now we can solve this a number of ways. One is to use the elimination method, or we could use the substitution method. I don't really have a favorite, but I would say that this one's fairly easy to solve by substitution because we can solve the first equation for y by subtracting x from both sides. So we could take y and say y is equal to 564 minus x. So now we have an expression for y that we can plug into this second equation. So now the second equation will look like this, 11x plus 14y. Well, y, we just said, is 564 minus x, and that's equal to 7332. All right, so we get rid of the parentheses. We do that by distributing the 14 through. Well, 14 times 564 will give us 7,896, 7896. And then you take the 14 times the negative x, and be careful with the sign, so it's negative 14x, and that is equal to 7332. All right, we're getting there. We have this equation with just x. We want to simplify. The left side, 11x minus 14x, is a negative 3x. And we're also going to subtract 7896 from both sides while we're at it, so that we have the x's on one side and the numbers on the other. So let me get that right. 7896. Well, 7332 minus 7896 gives us a negative 564. Now all we have to do is divide both sides by a negative 3. Well, negative 564 divided by a negative 3 comes to x is equal to 188. Now remember, the x was, go back to what we wrote down at the beginning, the x was the number of kilograms of Brazilian coffee. So x is equal to 188 kilograms of the Brazilian coffee. Okay, well, how much Venezuelan coffee do we need? Well, we need to find y. Well, the good news is, see up here, we have this expression for y. So we know that y is equal to 564 minus x. Well, now we know that x is 188. So we have y is equal to 564 minus 188, which comes to 376 kilograms. So we have 376 kilograms. Now this is the Venezuelan coffee, and 188 kilograms of the Brazilian coffee. All right, I hope that makes sense. If you have questions about it, let me know.